was like CS wasn't even reading the ticket. Like, I attached screenshots in my initial ticket, and then they asked me for screenshots in their response. So to me, that came across as we didn't even read your initial ticket. We sent this cookie cutter response, and now we want more information that was already attached previously.
Okay, so troop stock issue fixed too slowly and compensation sent too slowly.
In my opinion, on addressing that issue, I feel like customer support should have a better general knowledge of the game. Because anytime I've had issues with customer support, I ask questions and I send screenshots of my issue, and I feel like customer support doesn't know anything about the game sometimes.
Their response is always to reload the game.
Thank you.
Yeah, their response is always to reload the game.
One suggestion to potentially help that situation is that it seems like whenever we do get a response, which is usually days after we ask, it's always a different customer support rep. These tickets that have been open up for about a month or so usually end up having close to 10 different reps on that individual ticket. Maybe assigning the customer support reps by ticket rather than by situation having floating around might help the overall support of players.
And just to add on to the customer support itself, there are times where I actually do talk to the in-game customer support, and there's another player who does this as well. Tickets are forcefully closed, and we can no longer actually go back to them, or we can no longer answer them. So that has been an issue across the board as well.
Okay, noted. This is a bug. This is something we are actually working on. We cannot see the customer ticket. Customer ticket. Okay, anything else? Anyone? Just FYI, we are taking notes for all of the things you just said. So feel free to. This is an open meeting. Feel free to speak up yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to say two quick things. First thing, shout out to Elena. Thank you for the invite. Second, the SVS rewards seems to be pretty fixed over the last year and a half or so. I know players work really, really hard, spend so much time and effort, every other week performing for their server, yet the rewards are just not balanced with how much losses are involved. I'm not sure if you and the devs have talked about this before in the past, but it seems like the large-scale plays that are happening, usually people lose more than they get out of just even participating in SVS.
Are you referring to the server war rewards and the match system?
Yes.
Okay.
The rewards are horrible.
The rewards don't even compensate anything at all.
And the fact that we added in the green bubbles, and then now, you may only have one or two drops. See a green bubble them, there you go. And you're bored all weekend.
Just on SVS as well, a couple of issues that have been brought up, mainly around the scores. There's a lot of people that tend to splat troops over and over again to try and get top 5, and they actually create very negative scores for their server. So I've had a few people suggest that maybe we should count the negative scores against the positive scores in the total rankings, so that if people do that, they actually end up negative overall and they don't achieve their goal, making it more positive for the server.
I guess
So
I
if
got a
they go
point.
massively negative, they don't get that. They don't unlock the server war areas.
Yeah, I
Basically.
think it's a major point. Across all
I mean-
servers, it's vastly been a big topic.
Agreed. I do
Agreed.
agree with that to a point, but I mean, I guess I guess I got a topic for that. I mean, we've all been in a rally where we have more killed than necessarily the others. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, you don't get as many points in that said rally as what normally another person does. All of a sudden, what if one person pulls an unlucky straw? And I can understand. I mean, it's someone's going to go and say, "Well, they got unlucky." Absolutely. But what happens if a couple people are going to all of a sudden not want to join rallies because their points go negative? I 100% agree that the negative points need to do something, but I mean, we also have to take into fact that you're going to have negative points on a rally that you might not get a bunch of kills on. All of a sudden, that goes and counts against your score that you might have done well somewhere else. You've kind of got to go and balance that out. I mean, 100%, I do agree with you. There is people that go and waste points that way, do go negative, people that like to throw server versus server. But you've got to think about the consequences on the other side of it too. That people who are trying to join rallies and do whatever and manage to not gain points on something like that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Sometimes in a rally you do lose more than you gain, but the people that are actively rallying are also those that are actively out soloing, so tend to bounce their scores. It's more the people that sort of splat and heal just to try and gain points, and lose hundreds of millions of points for their server. They're the ones that this would more affect.
100%.
Right.
100%.
You can tell a distinct difference between somebody who joined a botched rally and someone who literally splats their shit over and over and over and over and over to get top 5. I've seen somebody splat themselves to 1 billion negative to get top 5, and that shouldn't happen. They should not be rewarded for trashing SBS.
Absolutely. I think it needs to go on more of a solo rather than a rally. I don't know if there's a way to obviously do that, but I mean, I think the negative needs to count for a negative on a solo report rather than on necessarily a rally report. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Go and weigh them different. Do something there. I mean, like, there's got to be something we can do.
There's the
One of the
repetitive.
options that I would put forward, like what you guys have at the moment, where you have to finish in the top 5 to struggling to get there. If you altered top 5 who have not previously qualified for the award, if they get it, these people are not going to be competing against the titans of their server. They're going to be competing against the other smaller players who are still trying to get their wings. So in a hypothetical situation, if you take my server, more often than not, it's the same 10 names in the top 10 almost every time, but all of us have wings. So if you take
that's true, but if you look at the net result of positive and negative, you can get some small players getting very positive scores, that will easily score above those players that are scoring big but are also scoring big negative points.
Oh no, I don't disagree with that. Like that what we're saying both makes sense and they both agree with each other. But if you're a player who finishes with a positive score, but you finish 8th, you're not looking at wings. So if you take the people who have already got the wings out of the equation, that player who's done well, he should get the wings as a reward.
What if you did the total, instead of total points on top 5, it's just the positive. Those people with the most positive points get wings.
That I could get behind because that eliminates the splatting for points. Like if you take the top 5 most net positive, not necessarily the most points, but the most net positive points, and give them wings, you're going to be a lot more likely to get people to stop splatting for wings and maybe kind of get more people wings overall.
Yeah, sounds good. So another thing in SVS as well, with the minimum power on temples and throne, these days with the general power, you're getting large players who are unable to rally, sending one troop and a general to a temple to score points and to set the timer. So maybe we need to look at doubling the minimum power for the timer just so then they're forced to send troops, which was the whole point of introducing a power requirement in the first place.
Right, but now you have generals that exceed the power and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so by doubling the minimum power to above what a general and a troop is, it forces them to send troops, which was the whole point of introducing a power requirement.
I think if you were to do that and you were also to, if you're sitting in a temple with the maximum power, you get 2,000 points a second. If you were to put everybody inside the temple on the same score, so, if you put enough to get the 2,000 points a second, give it to the second player and the third player and the fourth player. If they put enough power into the building, give them the score as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone occupying the temple should be getting the points, but they should be occupying it with enough power to make it worthwhile for someone to do something about it.
Definitely. I wouldn't even say double. In all honesty, I would say the best part of 1 million troops, a full march, 50 million power every time.
I was thinking it should be sort of a ratio of your alliance power to make it fair for smaller alliances as well. So if you've only got a 1 million power alliance, maybe they only need to put 100k in there. But if you've got a 19 billion alliance, they need to put, as you said, like 100 million troops in there or something. Not 100 million troops, sorry, but like 1 million troops or something.
Yeah, a balanced ratio to try and even out the server war between the opponents.
Yeah, but then also you don't want those with alts, like an alt farming alliance, then going and doing it.
What's up, buddy?
You've got to try and discourage that.
Yeah. That would be the reason that I would have suggested a higher power ratio where it has to be a main account which is developing.
Yeah, yep.
I think all these points are 100% correct, but I still think that we need to definitely push the subject that the rewards then itself. I don't want the rewards part of it to get covered up here. I mean, I think we all agree that definitely needs to be something that gets changed immediately. I mean, server isn't worth anything. I know we talked about it already, but I just don't want it to get covered up because I mean, if that's something that doesn't get changed, the points don't matter even a little bit. I mean, no matter what, it's not worth it then.
Yeah, absolutely.
While we're on the subject of rewards and being changed, one thing that's very, very pressing to me is changing the rewards for All-Stars for people who placed top 50 and got the dragon last year. It's not fair that everything is exactly the same for them this year as it was last year.
Yeah, that was a major thing that we were trying to reach out to you about before you announced All-Star. What a lot of people felt was, like you said with the wings, it's the same people getting the top, and it's likely to be the same 40 people are going to occupy the top 50 spots. If the reward for qualifying, if the reward for finishing in the top 300 was that you got Ladin, the green dragon that came out last time, and then the top 50 got a new dragon, still to be decided, whatever the skills, that would have given a real competition, and it would have gave the players that played last time something to aim for this time, rather than there's people in the top 50
didn't even
who've got
want
the
me in here
decoration,
to begin with.
they've got the march.
I mean, they literally had no
they've
want
got the
for
castle,
me in this meeting.
They've got everything. They've got no reason to play, no reason to win, no reason to spend resources or speeds or anything. It's a dull event. What should be the grand stage, if so to speak.
I hope I do, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. So it would have been nice to see sort of last year's top 50 rewards go to the top 300 this year, and then a new set of rewards for the top 50 this year, kind of like a flow down effect.
Yeah, because like he said, it does not motivate anyone at all to just say, oh, well, we'll compensate you with gems. Well, I don't mean this offensively, but Evony's idea of compensation, of fair compensation, doesn't have the greatest track record with most of us. Yeah. So to just say that we'll compensate you with gems for already doing this, like that doesn't mean anything. No one's gonna push that already got all that. I mean, unless they're just super competitive and want bragging rights to say, hey, I won it 2 years in a row, which, okay, whatever. But for everybody else, there should be something to work towards, not just the same thing repeated.
Okay, I think server war is something for a very long time we need to work on. Still, we have some issues. Has anyone hasn't spoken yet? Or if you don't want to speak, you can just type here, I think. We will keep notes, both spoken communication and typing communication.
Yeah, can I say something? Yeah, so is there any plan to revisit traps? Because right now they're useless and nobody builds them because they disappear in Battlefield. So what's the point?
I'm sorry, what is collapse?
Traps.
You mean traps?
Oh, traps. Oh,
Like,
sorry.
TRAPS, trap.
Thank you.
Crap.
Yeah, like what's the
Fucker
point
said,
in
the
having
guy
them like
just
right
said
now in the game?
craps.
The state of them is completely useless.
I sell all my trap building crowns for gold.
About the funniest thing I heard all week right there.
So yeah, is there like
good.
any plan?
Yeah,
These are the people right here
needs a revamp for sure to make it more useful.
that literally did not even want me in this meeting in the first place.
Yeah. This is
long do you
something we
have
need to
to-
work on. I think, Mike.
Also, sorry, let me say one last thing. What about sources of life? Is there gonna be like any more reliable way to get them other than spending gems? Because as players get bigger and bigger, you're looking at like 2 billion power players getting zeroed, and then that's like an insane amount of sources of life that are not reliable to get. You need to spend money to buy the gems to get the sources of life.
I mean, the point of the sources weren't necessarily to be easy to get or to necessarily heal troops. I mean, for free. I mean, that's the kind of the point of them. I mean, giving them out for free is then just going to go and give a person a reason to kill troops and not care. You know what I mean?
But it'll be a way to get non-coiners to participate in the server versus server battles. It's like Chris was saying earlier, it's the same 10 people in server versus server top scoring all the time.
Yeah, I think that's something to be addressed with the server war compensation. Is maybe more sources of life in the top rewards, so that those that do have their troops destroyed have a better chance of recovering them afterwards. But not enough so that they do just go out and
supposedly
waste their troops
HC is
without any
sold, so it's not him.
See, as a mix of what the guys have just said there, what could definitely be reviewed is from the initiation of the server war that come at Keep 25, you've maintained the same Monarch scoring points at like 100,640, 1662 million or whatever. Back at Keep 25, getting 64 million points in one server war was difficult because that was a lot of tier 10. But nowadays with tier 14, you're looking at, it doesn't take much to get 64 million points. If you were to alter the Monarch rewards for your individual score going far higher, 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, there's players who are going to be doing that. And if you had an incremental reward system that kept on going up the way for every 100 million or 200 million of your score, which had more source in it, more speeds, more resources or whatever, just enhance the rewards on a relative scale to what people are more likely to score. Like the guy's saying there, the little players who are struggling for source, if they have a good server war, they're going to make enough back to heal a lot of their damage. But it's just one of these things that you've not updated the rewards and the reason to play. I mean, it takes one March to get 64 million, and then you don't have to play again for the rest of the server war because you've got your 60,000 gems and you're locked up.
And again, using a net positive scoring method would also help with that. Because then, you don't have to go past 64 million or whatever. Your scoring method might actually work with a net positive scoring track. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
This man on the dial-up internet.
Well, that goes back to the same thing that Ebony hasn't scaled evenly as it moved on. I mean, you look at resource fields in your keep, and they, if you go to 35, you're saying it's going to take over a year to produce the resources to pay for that one resource field in your keep. So what's the point in upgrading things? So I mean, when you were 25, it was very easily you could be a little more risky and splat a march in $100 and you were recovered. Whereas now, if you splat a 2 million march, you're talking about what, you know,
$300.
300, yeah, $300-400. So it's not the same.
Yeah, the scaling definitely needs to increase, not just on the resource fields in the city, but also outside the city. Like the double the tiles during events barely enough to cover farming. So really, there should be that outside of events, and then doubled again inside the events.
I mean, the only thing that is
option at this point.
Well, I mean, like I said, the only thing that's really scaled is you continue to devalue what everyone has spent earlier. You continue to increase the value for your 22,500% return value now, whereas, everybody in the older servers were only getting maybe 10,000 return. So a gem is not worth as much today as it was,
my dog
3
is
years ago
freaking
when we
out right
started
now.
playing. So
He don't agree with this stuff either.
we're already behind. And then, unlike H2, you kind of had some things in there where, like a market where we could get some gold, we could sell some resources, get some
I gotta
gold.
go quiet my dog down.
Well, now there's no getting any gold anywhere else besides Vikings, which you grind totally for 3 days, just grind and grind and grind. So
And goblins.
there has to be more, goblins. There has to be
And
a few
selling
more
minerals.
options for some things on here. Is all I'm saying.
And the art
See-
hall doesn't really cover it either.
I think if like what people have suggested as well, you've got all of these resource tiles, your wood, your stone, your iron, your food. Can you not introduce tiles that give you stamina or badges or dragon stones or gold, research stones, source of life, whether it's out on the map or it's an alliance tile for whatever duration of time they pick?
Wait a second.
Because what you've got, what the guys are saying is you've got a lack of ability to find some of these items. If you take players who are in an alliance, but they either cannot play the battlefield time slot, or they're not big enough to play the time slot, or for any reason, these people have been excluded 100% from acquiring badges and stones unless they spend $100 on a pack where they're going to get 100 stones out of it. You've got to spend 800 to get one piece of Ares
here.
Yeah. If you were to introduce the ability for the R4s or the R5 to put down a refining stone tile or other tiles, you're creating something new and something beneficial, which is going to help players who are not necessarily the premium or people who have a lack of time
they can't even got
to keep up with the big players.
Yo, they can't even get server versus server right. We're more worried about farming research stones. Yo, we're more worried about farming research stones right now. What did he say? They're whispering.
Shane just privately messaged me that players on S54 are looking for more options to get refining stones, and the non-coiners would like to see more of the generals available for purchase via gold in the table.
Yo, hey, that's not even a non-coiner thing. I mean, I'll be flat honest. I spend a fair amount of money on this game. Refining stones are fairly hard to get. I mean, that's 100% a thing. Also, the general hull deal. I mean, I spend a lot of money. I mean, I've got a lot of the general token deals. I mean, there's 2 or 3 that are literally impossible to get. There's something does need to be. There's a couple of them that need to be. Yeah. I mean, I've got
there's one that's not in there at all. It's never been in the game, but it's an achievement.
Which one's that? Menshikov?
No, Minterkopf you could have gotten with the purchase thing for the cake, but Guan Ryo has never been in the game, has never been offered, and it's
He has.
Yeah,
He has one time. in
Guan
a ladder
Guan
pack.
was yeah. No, it wasn't even a ladder pack. I don't believe. I believe it was an event that happened. So Guan was because I believe two people on my server have him, but 100% it was offered one time, and it's. I mean, I've spent 15 of the general tokens in a day and not got him. I mean, he's not available right
It's
now.
ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
See, a solution to that, which would be beneficial to everybody, when you release a new general with every event, every 6 months you're putting 10 new generals out there. So the likelihood in the epic general token that you're going to get the one that you want is always getting smaller. And on top of that, there's still the possibility that you're going to get a general that you already have or one that you don't want. Why can you not introduce a setup where you put the 10 latest generals, the last 10 event pack generals, in the epic token, and every other general put them in the tavern? That way, people have to refresh to find them. They have to play to level them. They have to spend gems to cultivate them. Smaller players, coiners, people who are looking for a specific general would actually know roughly when they would be able to get them versus spending 1,500 and getting nothing. If you make it possible for people to get these generals, they're going to be more interested and more active trying to do so.
Okay.
I think that's yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that's going to agree with that. I think like that's a very big thing.
Yep, I agree on that.
Just like after they're so old, like so many weeks to months old, they just automatically start showing up in taverns.
Well, the updates to the tavern are very few and far between. I mean, it's been almost 12 months.
Two. We've had two in the last like 4 years that they've added generals into the tavern, and then it was only like 4.
You make it really difficult for the players to maintain interest.
So the person
when,
talking right now is Pyro
your updates
from
and your
HMB,
and your new incitements are not exciting, and they're very few and far between.
I believe the girl that was just talking was Vixen from
when
server
the
100.
Benefit the developers more
Yeah,
than they benefit
Vixen
the
from
players,
server 100.
It's an issue.
One thing I wanted to say is that everything that we're saying on this call should be a priority, and you guys, the devs and everyone else, should not worry about these random puzzle games. All of us on the call, we're here to play a war game with our friends. If we wanted to play Jeweled, we'll download the Jeweled.
We've never put more puzzles. That's the one thing, and we've been seeing these surveys that I recently just saw, I think today.
That's Mal.
And you guys are
from
asking us,
HMB.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer like a hero's charge, or do you prefer more puzzles? Like, no, I don't want that. Please do not give me that kind of survey. Give me something else that
somebody's
I can answer on.
Somebody's Windows just updated.
Yeah, the puzzle feature.
No more
The puzzle feature is actually a way of offering more rewards for our players.
We don't
They are
want
not rewards.
Well, we don't want any more puzzles. That's the thing.
And a 30-minute speed up isn't getting me very far.
Yeah, 5
minutes
speed up
is
with
something,
resources are no use.
Yo.
Yeah.
I would like to counter
loud.
that playing on one of the newer servers that were
Okay, what do I need to come in
ago.
on? Let's hear it.
I've played on older servers, but I've noticed an uptake in new players that are drawn in by this puzzle that are asking when it's going to be completed. I don't think it would be as big an issue if it was completely.
I mean, I've got 26 people in here. That's almost as many as we've got in here.
Every month,
I mean, I'm not going to go
levels,
and
people know when they're coming.
People
look forward to them, and
take
when
every
come,
single thing.
But
if there's honestly anything that you feel is a viable thing that needs brought up, I want you to list it.
And more.
Maybe the option that you can turn off the puzzle feature.
Yeah,
would be great.
Can we sell it for gold?
I would say do away with the invite friend thing.
That was one of the worst features I've seen.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that you actually put a disable for 7 days option for the friend invite. Yeah, I appreciate that. I actually do like that, but I want it somewhere else. Just probably where in the settings where you can actually go see like the updates or like going to the accounts. Like I rather have it there and not suddenly popping up on my face every fucking hour.
Yo.
Well, like in the
Whoa.
the chat,
Relax. This is a family-friendly stream.
The pack pop-up. I can be in the middle of trying to hit somebody and get the pack pop-up. You should see it once when you open the game, and that's
I heard if you buy it,
it shouldn't just
it
randomly decide
doesn't
to
pop up anymore.
Are you talking about the activity package?
No, like I get
the friends
whatever
thing.
festival this is.
Facebook.
No, I get like
the
Fire Festival pack or whatever current festival it is. I get that pack pop up multiple times. Like I can be out doing something. The activity thing I'm fine with because it's like once you hit the 120 points.
Okay,
server
matchmaking.
It's not like every few hours or something. But the other one you get like every few hours.
Okay, I'm gonna write "fuck the puzzles" quite a bit on this sheet. Someone's child. Someone's child.
Someone take care of your baby, please.
Yeah, the baby's not happy.
Yo, he called him out. Yo, Ray called him out on the baby.
Is there any possibilities for more time slots on Battlefield, or is there any chance of changing Battlefield Gargamel rewards? Because it's not really worth it going on every Wednesday with my alliance, and the rewards are just crap actually compared to like Battle of Constantinople. It's better, and it makes it more worth it to go on Saturdays for those battles. So I'm just wondering, will we see any more time slots, and will there be any more reward changes?
I would agree with that. The time slot thing would be great because then you can spread out alliances more. I mean, literally, we've had the same alliance for 6 straight weeks on Wednesday, and it's kind of boring.
And there are some players who actually stay up late playing these time slots. Like I have European players like Chris here. He stays up until like maybe 3 a.m. his time or 2 a.m. his time because our time slot does not agree with him at all. Or like for Asians, like they will have to start playing either at time slot 3 or 4, which would be 7 a.m. my time and 12 p.m. my time.
Well, my preferred alliance time slot for me is 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. Just as an example.
I think like every 2 hours would be good. Right now you got it every 4 hours. Well, I don't understand why it couldn't be every 2 hours. I mean, one ends and one starts at the same time.
I think getting back to the time slot definitely thing is viable, absolutely. But getting back to the matchmaking thing, I think a matchmaking needs to be reworked for Battlefield and for server.
Server war.
Yeah, 100%. So the matchmaking, you guys revamped it there a couple months ago or a year ago, whatever it was. I mean, that either needs to happen more frequently or some other type of matchmaking needs to go and be implemented. I mean, I know the guys on the top end have played each other for the last probably 6 months straight, and I guarantee they're getting tired of it.
It's been a year.
Yeah, so I mean,
year now.
So the server versus server matchmaking is going to be a very big thing that everybody needs to agree upon, and also along with the Battlefield matchmaking. I think the top end, I think, is probably. I mean, I feel like they're up there for a reason. Don't get me wrong, but everybody's kind of tired of playing everybody. Then again, on the bad side of this, we don't want to go and play randoms where the matchmaking is incorrect. We don't want to go and play alliances that are a quarter of our power. We don't want to go and play anything like that. I mean, I'm in one of the larger alliances along with Chris and along with Mal and a few of the others. We're 60 bill plus. We bring 45 billion into it alone. There's no way, shape, or form that we can play an alliance that's less than 40 bill. So I understand that we're obviously on a cap here. We're above most people, but then again, that there needs to be something that's changed in server versus server matchmaking, especially along with maybe battlefield matchmaking.
Yeah, with on the battlefield matchmaking, I think if the scores were, the scores and the matchmaking were more designed off the teams rather than the alliance power, that would balance it out a bit more because you can get smaller alliances that have a top-heavy team versus a bigger alliance with a lower heavy team, rather than just going off the alliance power and being completely
Right.
mismatched.
Well, if you went off of the power of whoever signed up, the 20 players that are signed up versus the alliance power, that would make a difference too, I think.
See, even a suggestion which a lot of people have put forward is if you were to allow individual players to sign up for a battle slot. So hypothetically, you can take Colt, who would sign up for battle slot 3. I would sign up for battle slot 3. And there would be 100 other people would sign up for slot 3. You compile a pairing because you're going to have time like you have at the moment, and you make 2 teams of 20 who are evenly spread out in power like you would do in the All-Star. And these random people play random opponents without their alliance members. It's just cold, hard matchmaking, which would enable players from every server to play with each other on a battlefield.
Yeah, okay. So basically, you're not playing as an alliance; you're playing as an individual member, and the people you play with change each week.
Yeah, so it would be variable for every player, and what you would possibly find is that your alliance might all sign up for the individual time of the third slot, and you might find half of your alliance are on one side and the other half are on the other side. You get to play against each other for once.
I mean, I feel like that's a good idea, but then again, what gives a
And then when
reason
it
for
came
an
to the server
alliance
war,
at that point? You know
like
what I
an
mean?
idea which a lot of people are liking the sound of, if you were either to do a
I mean,
tournament, like a seeded system similar to the tennis, and you have an 8-week knockout where the winners keep progressing. Now, the teams that lose would have opponents as well, but you would create a very fair tournament that would give every server opponents that they've never played before. It might be dull the first couple of weeks. Yeah,
like
it
a
would be dull.
round robin style.
Yeah,
it would
that was going to
pretty
be.
dull the first couple of weeks. But
Well, that's kind of the way it was initially.
Yeah. And then
Until they changed it.
You would.
So they changed it.
Yeah, it'd be like a seeding system like they do with tennis. So if you take, hypothetically, the top 16 at the moment, first would play 9th, second would play 10th, and the winners would progress. And it's very likely that whoever's at the top of the ranking at the moment are going to get towards the latter stages, but there can be upsets. But even then, first playing like 9th or 16th or whoever, it's going to be a completely new pairing, which is exciting, and players who are known traps or there is no in tricks or whatever, people aren't going to know them.
Even if you do it like the soccer where you have pools, so you have like 10 different pools, and then the top 2 from those pools qualify to go in, and then that's where the matchmaking takes over, and first versus ninth and stuff like that.
Yeah, just something variable, or even a completely open server war where anybody from any server can go to any other server. Because
I think the lag on that would be huge.
It would, but if they can manage that, and if they can do something to perhaps try and fix that, what you can do is you can have, your level 30s on your server, whatever it is at the moment, they can go to the newest server 250, and the level 30s will be kings. But what will happen is that you'll get the level 32s and the 33s coming from server 50 perhaps, chasing the level 30s. And then you'll get the bigger players coming and chasing the bigger ones. What's going to happen is basically an open migration to the last 10 servers where you're all going to be fighting each other. But it would be anarchy, and it would be so much fun. And there's big players on every server. You can set up huge rallies, 2 or 3 alliances hitting the same player. The potential for fun and the potential for scores and inclusion. The little players at the moment, they can't drop bubble because there's nobody that they can hit. If you take a level 30 on your server, who can he hit on the other server? But a level 30 going to server 250 can hit somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep note of this. This is a very interesting idea.
tournament. I am from test server, and we had some
Hi.
issues with CS. Well, we are hello. We are actually there. Nobody really listens to us in CS. Before it hits live server, we try to point out what the issues are. Like last time, like it happened a few times ago that with one rally there are two reports, and so we
I mean,
had
don't get me wrong.
like
It sounds like a good idea.
Hello? It's
Did
just
she
me,
lag
or
out?
I
I
can't
think she lagged
sorry,
out.
I got
I think
cut
she cut out.
off. One rally, two reports,
Yo,
and
Emmy, thank you,
he
homie.
got double dead.
You got double
And
what?
also,
He got double what?
no,
That
there are
happened in
two.
live
I'm not so
also.
sure on here.
That happened in live also. A rally hit the
We
throne
had
twice.
issues about device switching capabilities. Like, if
Device switching
is someone
capabilities.
talking,
Who
or is
does
it me?
this? Is somebody talking? No one's talking. No.
It's you.
I think your connection is unstable. But
Got
it's
that
okay.
dial-up internet,
You
homie.
can just type in the chat and we will see what is going on.
Oh, Jesus. This is good. This is why I live stream stuff like this, just so everybody.
Along the lines of server wars,
I feel
could
like,
you
man,
take a look
I'm
to
worried that like
see
it's
the ranking
talking.
system and the points,
I'm muted
how
though,
they
right?
are, how they're calculated? Currently, we took a test with our server because we're stuck between about 15th and 20th because of our overall server power. We're about half the size to even a third of the size of anybody in the top 5 overall. We won every single server war for a good part of 12 months. Every single
Good part
one,
of
did
12
not
months.
lose a single one.
Didn't
We
lose a
moved
single
from
one.
15th overall to 14th overall.
Someone take notes on that.
Then
15th
we
to
took a
14th.
chance and just decided to lose every single one for 3 months. We
Or
dropped
they
from
got the
14th
whooped on
overall to
every single
16th
one.
overall. At some point, that needs to be looked
What about
at
like a chat?
because
Somebody
overall
brought that up
server
earlier. A
power should
challenging
never be
system.
included in an overall ranking system. It should be wins, losses. It should be how many points you win by, but overall server power it should never be part of it ever.
That's wrong. 100%.
Could say the same for the battlefield as well for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just talked about a server war tournament, you hillbilly.
Hey Raymond, I have a question. We used to do
Yes.
server wars during the week, or it would alternate
With
from
Vib.
during
Dial-up internet.
weekdays sometime. And I was just wondering
That's Styles.
why it's always weekends now, and if there's a possibility that we can go back to the old system and sometimes have it during the weekdays, because lots of people that I know are just unable to play on weekends. I was just wondering what the reasoning.
Yo, Emmy, dude, thank you for that sub, bro. I do
was.
appreciate that shit, homie.
Okay, can Emily developers answer this question?
Developers.
Also, throne time in SPS doesn't need to be at the same time every single time. There's people who cannot play at that time because they're asleep.
Sleeping.
Catered to
Sleeping is for the weak.
American time zones, actually.
Styles
Much
was
more
the
not
one with
really in the
slow-mo.
European side, because the
It's
Europeans are already asleep.
phenomenal for like I know our players in Vietnam. They love it because it's at 7 a.m. their time. They can always be on. But we have several
Good
of our
morning,
bigger
Vietnam.
players who are UK, and they can't be on. It's like 2 a.m. their time.
Can't be
That's
on.
not fair.
Like for Americans, like there's some of us who are actually going home from work, or we are probably too busy with our families. So the only possible players that are actually playing for Throne would be
I want a
the
dev
Asians
to
or
literally weigh
people
in and
who actually have nothing to
say
do
something. I
in their
want a
time.
developer to say what
most
their
occasions.
concerns are about things. I'm gonna bring that up after I eat my
Okay,
Reese's
to
cup.
answer the question previously, we make the server fixed time because we combine the throne war with server war so that players won't be, be confused. Before we all know that sometimes we need to hold the throne, the throne time so that the throne wouldn't be open during server war. This is
Well, no,
the reason.
that's not accurate. If you were to change the server war from Saturday to Sunday and put it on to Tuesday and Wednesday, you put the throne bang in the middle. Players aren't stupid. They can work that out, and if they can't work it out, they don't belong in a strategy game.
Yeah, part of the fun was trying to make Throne full outside of server war, and that's what made it interesting, and trying to get together with your server to try and not get it in server war, and then those that wanted to make it full in server war, and that was part of the fun.
That was actually that was something that we actually did back in one of my older servers. That whenever server war is going to open on Throne, we would actually have to
bounce Throne out of it.
Yeah, we would actually have to get it out.
I'm gonna bring up puzzles right now.
Because there's that
just throw one big
that
wrench into it. I'm
could actually take
throwing a
throne,
24 millimeter in this
really
biatch.
Defending it. So
Yeah,
that was actually one of our strategies back then. But when you put it on the same day as server war, it actually does force people like myself and Pyro and Colt and everyone else to actually watch Throne. But again, these times do not really agree with us.
I'm fine if you want to say Throne has to be open in SBS. I'm fine with that, but it doesn't need to be like. It's not fair that we have to lose half of our players because Throne is in the middle of the night for them.
Okay, we'll discuss this and we will get back on this.
A lot of the time with Throne open SDS, you just get a small player resetting it constantly rather than the intended effect, which is having people defend it.
I mean, I think that brings up to the point again of the rewards not being worth it. So I mean, I still, like I said, I want to make sure that the point gets across that server versus server rewards. I'm becoming, a broken record here, but server versus server rewards need to be fixed.
And All Stars.
And rewards in general, really. I mean, for the fighting events, not for the strategy, the puzzles, the things like that. That's not what we're worried about. For the fighting events, battlefields, server versus server, Throne.
I mean, a Throne. Hundreds of dollars.
I mean, it's the stuff that's making you guys essentially money. Don't get me wrong. I mean, a lot of things do, but the rewards do need to be better on everything. Absolutely everything.
Like, for example, like just to jump on that, like for example, for server war, in an event that I do get rallied, like of course I'm gonna lose this amount of troops. Like let's say I lose about 12 million troops, and they all go to the reviving screen. It's just not really worth it because I get the compensation from the prizes. It's just not going to cover at all, and I do think that you should really up the ante on the server war rewards.
From experience, 9 million troops is about 4 million gems. Thanks, Janor.
Well, I mean, it also comes down to the point that, hey, I mean, the person, and not against anybody who's gotten rallied. I mean, it's all happened, lag, whatever you might want to call it. I mean, it's happened. But, I mean, if someone's going to sit around and take a rally and not know that they're not going to win that rally, I also don't want to go and give that person the benefits of scoring points and getting rewards for the situation of not being smart enough to create a defense or to not know what you're capable of and then all of a sudden scoring a bunch of points and making a bunch of rewards for once again going negative or doing anything of the sorts like that.
Who said thanks, Janor? Who did I kill?
Two quick comments I wanted to bring up before the call ended too, on ideas I think that will just enhance overall gameplay. One of them being presets for talents. I know a lot of players, depending on the situation, we just have to reset. It's so much clicking, lagging. It takes us 15 minutes just to get the talents we want. If we can get presets for talents, I think that'll just make the gameplay a lot better. And the second comment I had is the Alliance warehouse capacity right now is 300 million for most players. They just shove a bunch of food in there. But if they're trying to get to keep 35
You lost me
or
there.
any buildings
You had a
level
good
35,
start. Had them in the first
300
half.
million food isn't going to, really help them out that much.
Yeah, it needs to be a lot higher.
I was going to bring something up, and
Again,
I forgot it.
it comes back to the
Oh, the
scaling.
devs.
Everything's not scaling with the cost of what's costing to keep building.
Agreed. Alliance Warehouse, SVS rewards, I'll say for a 15th time because that should be at the top of your guys' list for sure.
I do have one thing that I'd like to bring up real quick. I mean, Raymond, 100%. We do appreciate you guys being here and everything like that. We haven't heard a lot of feedback from the developers themselves. Now, by all means, if it's a language barrier or anything of the sorts like that, we understand. But I think we all kind of want to know. I mean, obviously, there's some people in here who are going to say that they don't care what the developers think or anything like that. But I want to know what the developers have to say on a lot of these topics. 100%, you're the middleman, everything like that, Raymond. We do appreciate you being here. But I mean, a little bit of a voice from the developers themselves would be nice.
I want to make sure that they're actually here.
This is the process goes like this. The developers are currently sitting next to me. They're taking notes of all you have said and all you have discussed, and we will make a list. And later on today, we will make this list and post it in the Facebook group with each feedback what developers say about this. Right now, they need time to discuss. They cannot answer. Sometimes they cannot answer right now. If this is what you mean.
Yo, 100% the developers aren't
if they
here.
can't answer the
I've heard a
questions that
few.
we were asking, what were their plans without our questions? What was going to come next in the game?
Yes. And actually, there is one question that developers want to ask everyone. For the All-Star Battlefield, right now it's like PvP. So we want to, in the future, consider a alliance versus alliance battlefield. So what do you think about this? This is one question that Emily developers want to ask everybody.
Okay, you're gonna have to. I mean, you're bringing up
So
an
basically,
alliance
like
versus. I mean, you're bringing up an alliance versus alliance battlefield. I mean, that's currently really what it is. So I guess could you reword that? Maybe I heard it wrong.
But I think he means like instead of one person from it progressing or whatever.
So you're
it's
saying
your
a
entire
tournament?
alliance
Yeah. So
progress.
you're saying that's what we brought up earlier. We brought up a server versus server tournament, and I believe that also goes along with the battlefield. I believe that also goes along with the matchmaking. 100%. If you throw some sort of a tournament for the server versus server, and some sort of tournament for the battlefield, by all means, I don't think there's going to be many that complain. We play a lot of the same people, which I'm happy that we do. Because if we didn't play Pyro or HMB or EVL or a couple of the top alliances, I mean, we're not going to score the points that we do. You know what I mean? We need to be paired against each other. But a tournament in form or something like that for server versus server, especially. And then again for Battlefield also, I believe that needs to be implemented. I do believe that developers do have a good idea there. I guess Pyro and Mal and I guess I feel like this maybe I'm not trying to go and say that the smaller alliances don't matter. 100% you guys do, but it's gonna go and mess up more for the people. I mean, HMB comes in and scores what 60 bill plus points around, or 60 mil, whatever it is, plus points around. We do the same. EVL does the same. There's 3 or 4 alliances that do the same. But if we all of a sudden pair up against an alliance that's 20 bill, there's no way that can do that. It's impossible.
Raymond,
I think for your
before you put that in live server, you put it in test server, right? The issue now with test server is that we basically almost killed everyone, so there are no players. So there's no one to test.
I think your concept.
It doesn't necessarily have to go first through test server, but we will see. We will see.
I think she does have a point there.
And since nobody's really playing much in test server right now. Could you please release us and just prep test server because my life has been on hold in test server for like 2.5 years, I guess, and I'm already like over 6 billion and nobody to fight with.
Merge test servers with normal servers and let them release them from their non-paying list.
Okay, the test server issue is something we need to discuss.
I mean, if you release test server though, Nuck, I guess I kind of have a question for you. I mean, the problem is at that point, are the people that play test server religiously play because they don't want to fight the coiners? You guys do get rewards that we obviously don't. You have battlefield
We
times.
actually want to go to. We do want to go to live. Unfortunately, we are in a different app.
It's not just that you're in a different app. Your inventories and what you have spare and all your speeds. You would be the equivalent of a super coiner on a live server. It would never be a fair scaling in any way of the world.
We asked for it.
Oh, I'm not.
Yeah,
We're
but you
not.
get
We're
stuff
not
given to you
arguing.
as
Yeah,
well.
we're not arguing that you don't work for it. I'm not. We're not. None of us are saying that 100%. But all of a sudden, comparing your account to mine, I mean, it's how many refining stones do you have? How many research stones do you have right now? I mean, I spend, like I said, I'm not. I'm not. I mean, what you
It's
Nuck,
really hard to
you have
get
the.
refined stones. They don't give it to us. They
Okay.
don't give us speed. They don't give us anything. They don't even give us VIP.
That's because that's a
Boston.
spending reward.
Yeah, VIP. Well, I mean, yes. I mean, but there. Okay, right there. That gives a fact right there. You come into a test or a live server, and then all of a sudden you take away what test server was. Test server was a free server for people who didn't want to compete to the non-coiners. I think that you're an outliner compared to most of test server. I mean, you're very big. That's not an argument. You're ahead of probably 98% of the test server. 100%. I feel like you should give the option, not the whole test server. I feel like you should give, Raymond, this is pointed to you. I feel like you should give the option for somebody, but then again, it still has to be scaled to a point. I mean, like Pyro said, I mean, you've been, I mean, getting rewards from hourly battlefields. You've been getting rewards from the generals that are given immediately. I mean, you're given a lot of rewards, and I'm not saying you don't work for them. That's not being brought up, but the way you get stuff and the way we get stuff is two completely different things. The way your account was built and the way ours were built were I mean, if Chris, because Chris, I don't think that you're a huge spender. I believe you were at one point in time, but I believe you play free now. If you played the way you do in a test server, I mean, realistically, I mean, you're going to be 5 times your size. I mean, it's just the truth. So all of a sudden, if I mean, it's that's where I think we're going to run into a problem here. I do understand your pain. You're ahead of everybody else right now, but I mean, there's going to be advantages to what you have and disadvantages to what you have, and I just don't think that you can scale.
Test server is closed. The issue is that test server is closed, and there are no more testers. Not a lot, and they don't fight us.
You should make a live account and join one of the new servers.
That is a very valuable. I mean, yeah, and then you do start from scratch. You do lose what you had on test. I 100% understand that. I
I'm
feel like
running several accounts because a lot of people quit.
It might be worth noting this is a discussion that maybe you should have with the developers at another point in
absolutely.
time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, the
This
test
is
server
relevant
issue
to the
will
game.
be one of today's feedback, and we will come up something for this.
I do
Is
believe
there
Nuck has
any?
a valid point there. I mean, like you just said earlier, you don't want to send the tournament or whatever it was through test server. I mean, test server is there for exactly that, to be able to test things. What we do talk with Nuck quite a bit on and other test server players for that matter on what the event is happening and new items that are being added in, everything like that. But you should test everything through them, not just pick and choose necessarily, because all of a sudden, you run the test server with the tournament, and all of a sudden if you find a small glitch there, you release it to 214 servers or whatever you have. I mean, the glitches are going to be found way 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 faster on 214 servers than they are going to be on the two. But all of a sudden, if you don't test anything, I mean, it's I mean, there's no point at that point for a test server.
We do test, but no one listens if we find a glitch.
Exactly. That needs to be relayed more. I do agree with that. I mean, and like I said, you do test a lot of things, but Raymond just brought up something, how he wasn't going to send that through the test server. That 100%, nothing needs to go to a live server without being ran through the test server. I mean, there's no point in releasing it then. You haven't tested it. I mean, you might have tested it on your servers, but I mean, that's not on a live server at that point.
Yeah, if you're bringing a risk to a live server, you're not just risking your mechanics and lag and glitches. You're actually risking people's money. If you put me in a tournament where I want to my money has to be tested.
Is it just me? I cannot hear.
He cut out. He
Chris,
cut out way
Chris,
bad.
can you repeat that?
He's back.
You lagged out quite a bit.
If you run on a normal server, you are risking people's money. If I spend money to buy speed ups or anything I need for your tournament and it glitches and it doesn't work, you're not going to give me my money back. And the compensation will be 2 weeks after the tournament. You can't take people's money on a faulty product. That's unacceptable. It has to be tested first.
Exactly. 100%. I agree with that.
And that's what's been had. Like, I mean, that goes back to what we were talking about at the very beginning of the call, when he said the compensation will come 2 weeks later. You guys have been taking money hand over fist and then releasing things with glitches, and people have literally been getting the shaft on stuff.
And I think that there's no way in shape or form that a game will ever be lag free or glitch free or anything like that. That's not what we're asking for. We understand that. Well, we should. We should understand that's not possible. But if you don't test it, that there, the little stuff that could have been found is then going to be found with people's money. I mean, I know people that have spent a lot of money on this, and all of a sudden, you've got test server for a reason. Test it and then send it out. Don't send it out. And like I said, there's still going to be stuff that we find. 100%. We understand that, but the compensation needs to be better. Needs to be quicker. I do understand the point of going through everything, because I guarantee that none of us understand the amount of compensation they're asked for weekly, daily. I mean, I do understand that you guys do need to sift through that, but we can't, if all of a sudden we experience lag, and one of your customer support people go and ask for a screenshot or a video of it. Raymond, I don't know if you've ever played the game or played any game for that matter. It's pretty hard to go and get a screenshot of lag, or it's pretty hard to go and get a screenshot of items like that are uncontrollable. You know what I mean? 100%. We need to come up with some sort of proof. There needs to be a good compensation, not an overcompensation, not an undercompensation. There needs to be a compensation that is agreed upon on both sides. Now, by all means, everybody's always going to ask for more, but your compensation needs to be faster. But I do understand in the point of being, you do need to do something that gets a correct compensation for that matter.
There's something that I think I want to make it clarified. We asked screenshot videos or anything else to make the Evony tech staff locate the problem and fix the problems. Not that we do not trust our players.
I mean, but what we do, I mean, I do understand. I mean, we all of a sudden, if I come to you and say, "Hey, this happened," and don't have some sort of proof of it, I shouldn't be compensated. You know what I mean? If I fake that
Right
something
now,
happened,
no. Right now, my request to the customer support team is to firstly compensate players and then humbly ask players to offer screenshots so that it would help us. It might help us to find the reason and resolve the problem. This is
absolutely.
my request to customer support. If any one of you find the customers does not do what I have just said, please just report it to Alina. We will,
I do want
make
to.
this right.
I mean, he
I
is
do want to
correct. I mean,
point this out.
there's no way,
I do
shape,
have
or form
a player of mine,
that
and he
that
actually did
we
talk
should
to
be
customer
trusted. I mean,
support.
it's
He also
just a
talked
fact.
to
If
Elena,
none of us can agree with that,
and
I mean, we're
it's
all
something about
lying
his
to ourselves. We
bubble.
can't be
And
trusted.
when he
I mean,
did actually send
if
proof
given the
that
opportunity, I've
it was
spent 60,
incorrect or
70,000
like
on
there was
this
an
game.
error in the
I mean,
system, he was not really
given any point
compensated
in
at
time,
all.
100%,
And it
I'm going to go
probably
and
took
try and take
maybe a
advantage of
month or
something.
two to
You know what
even
I mean? We
get
all
a
are. We can
response
all
back
say that
from
we're not
them.
going to, but we all
And
are.
someone did say here
So
that we do actually send screenshots, we do actually send videos, but the
there needs to be a
compensation does
correct
not actually
compensation.
cover the actual losses to what happened to us because
Exactly. You
glitches
know what I mean?
lag.
Yeah, like that. Okay, I'm going to bring up the attacking.
Yeah, absolutely. So if there's a glitch that has caused a player loss on the Evony side, then the player should be compensated 100%, and it shouldn't be a negotiation back and forth as to, well, how about 300 sources of life? I know we're only going to give you 200. It should be a 100% compensation if the glitch is on the Evony side.
I mean, because
Yeah, and I also,
yes, absolutely.
And I also had someone lose maybe 600 mil of resources, and the compensation to that was actually maybe 150. That to me was not enough at all to actually compensate that. But it's lag. What can I do? And he actually did send out the receipt. He did send out all the proof and like all of that, and it's still being negotiated. But right now, it's already completely settled. It's better than nothing, actually. He probably got compensated maybe 400, 500 mil.
We had some
For
players.
specific case, specific compensation amount, we can discuss this, and I think it's time we raise the compensation standard. If everybody thinks that right now they don't get enough compensation compared to their loss.
Correct.
I mean, we're more worried. Yes, 100%, but we're also worried about the speed time of the compensation. Like Chris said, all of a sudden, if we go into something and server, and I understand it's hard to go and get compensated in an hour. I do understand that, but going weeks is not okay. Going days really is pushing it. I do understand that at some point in time on a few items, it's probably going to be that, but don't take weeks for items like that. Don't if it's some resources, if it's some this, some that, I mean that should be instantaneous. If it's some troops, by all means get something close and then all of a sudden go into the nitty-gritty and figure out exactly what it is and then go from there. Go and compensate to what you see is 100% correct, and then go and figure out exactly down to the troop number. I mean, Raymond, 100% your game goes and logs everything. I've had it proven to me. I've seen what I've rolled on the wheel of whatever for the last 3,000 spins. You know what I mean? I know your game goes and links literally everything. So I know that you guys can see what we had before a hit and after a hit. So the compensation should be fairly easy. Go and send a customer support a message. Hey, we lost this. Here's the report. Here's the time that it happened. The customer support texts back. Hey, okay, give me 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Sends it to a developer. The developer goes through, links up what was had beforehand, what was had afterhand, goes and figures out what needs to be compensated, and then send it. I mean, that shouldn't be 24-hour. I understand, middle of the night for you guys, that's a tough deal. All of a sudden, if it's 12 hours, we can live with that. But going weeks is not okay at all.
The worst,
See,
the
what
worst
it
one is just
boils
during
down to,
SDS. The worst one is
like,
during
what
SDS.
Right.
Like, if people
you
lose.
guys have got your server's numbers has jumped a lot. And from what we can see, I think everybody will echo the same. You've got customer support who are the base people who deal with our complaints. They possibly don't even play the game and they don't understand it. So if you get to them and they don't understand it, they might escalate it to Elena, and she will look at it and she will help and make a decision. Perhaps it would be a suggestion to hire another one or two people who could do the same job as Elena to share the workload. Because as your server numbers grow, you're asking one person to spread themselves too thin, which is slowing down the response process and hurting your customer support.
In response to
Yes, this
the
is
time
something
process.
we are actually already doing. Yes.
And
And we
speaking of
also
server
train
numbers
the
going up,
online
when are you
agents
guys
to know
gonna do
better about
server
it.
merges?
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, when are
Yeah,
we going to get some more merges? Even ones that have merged before, the player
And
base is dying off because of everything that's been going on. So when are we going to merge some more servers again?
And there are actually servers who are actually not merged yet, and there are actually servers who have been merged twice.
Yeah.
You know,
With the
last
historical
the
side,
last year.
it's
Yes.
just a huge disadvantage with All Stars, SVS, and everything in between.
Okay, so one last thing about the Alliance tournament. If I'm getting it correctly, is it like the World Cup?
Yes, exactly.
Similar.
Any round robin tournament, anything like that, you go and seed 30 teams up, or what, 32 teams up, whatever it is, and or 32 servers up, or even less than that, 16, do whatever you want. I mean, you guys need to kind of figure that out. But to go and seed a certain amount of servers up and let it roll. I mean, just let them go at it. You go and
Okay.
I mean, here's one thing that needs to kind of be implemented beforehand, and I guess this will probably be more pointed to the larger alliances, like Chris and Legal and those guys, EVL. We're seeing a lot of defense on a lot of things, which defense is great. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like points need to be justified a little more. I mean, aggression and things like that. This is a war game. Troops are given back at the end of Battlefield for a reason. Leaving Battlefield with troops offers you no plus whatsoever. So I feel like attacking points should be scaled higher than defending points. Now, I do understand to a point it doesn't need to be overpowered by any means. A defense should still be worth points, but a 1.5 say an attacking point is worth 1.5 and a defense point is worth 1. Something to the sorts of that. I mean, it needs to be. We're just seeing, and I want Chris and Mal and a couple of the higher, and even I mean it probably goes even to the middle of the power ways in Battlefield and stuff like that. But I guarantee we have all went and complained about an alliance playing defense. We all have. We've all done it. So I feel like we need to go and give a reason not to play defense, and scaling attacking points higher is that reason.
Yeah, what folks
I agree with that.
basically saying is
I
that
agree.
if at the moment, if we as an alliance rally somebody, we can do a lot of damage. But if they are a very
But Chris, you're cutting out real bad.
Are you?
Huh? Okay, I can't hear.
Maybe you can type in the chat.
Well, what he's saying is all of a sudden, we can do a lot of stuff with a rally. That's not an argument. Defense should be something that is defense, 100%. But all of a sudden, if you get 6 big players permanently playing defense and not doing any attacking whatsoever, how does that benefit anything? You know what I mean? That there's no reason. They're not losing money. They're not losing anything. Go and scale attacking points higher for people who want to play, who are active, who are trying to play the game, and not just trying to sit there. I mean, I could put this a lot of ways, but pretty much just not trying to sit there. I mean, is it legitimately what it is?
Yeah.
All right, Battlefield now is you have to splat just to get a good hit on somebody, or two splats in some cases.
So you were saying we should make it more attack oriented instead of defense oriented game.
Not even necessarily that. I don't want you to go and change mechanics. I don't want you to go and change anything like that. Points wise, very simply put, one defense point is equal to 1.5 attacking points. Scale attacking points
Okay.
higher than defense points.
Yeah.
But then,
so
I mean,
if you get a tier 1 troop killed in defense, it's only worth 1 point. But if you kill an attacker, it's worth 1.5 points.
exactly. If you scale it too high, it's going to become an issue, obviously. So don't scale it too high. That's not what we're wanting. We're wanting something scaled correctly, and I believe we could all agree on 1.5 to 1. That feels very, 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 correct. I mean, it's not overpowered. Now, by all means, we might go 3 weeks down the line and say, hey, it's too much. And that should be where we're able to reach out to Elena or Raymond or the developers and say, hey, scale that back a little bit. This is too
Or
much.
put it in the test servers. Let
Yeah,
the test servers try it.
absolutely.
Okay. So I want to again thank everyone for attending today's meeting. I guess this time is up, and we will come up with a feedback list and post it in the Facebook group. And I would like again thank everyone for being here today. And we hope that we will in the future make it like a monthly basis meeting or weekly basis meeting if possible.
Yeah, that's what we've all wanted.
That's
We
all
feel
we
like
wanted.
we feel like we're cut off from Raymond, even Elena. By all means, Elena does a phenomenal job. She really does. She has to deal with a lot of people that I would never deal with ever. I mean, I would tell them words that
Like
cannot be
garbage.
said. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that she deals with
Thank you
that
very
she
much for your
doesn't.
understanding.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
But
we
let's
She
don't want to be
sometimes
cut off.
cries. Yeah.
But we do actually want weekly or monthly meetings with you guys, so you can
Okay,
actually hear
maybe
us.
next time the game developers will directly talk to you a little bit much.
I mean, if we see results, I mean, we don't necessarily have to. I mean, our worry is that this is going to you and not going any farther. That is what our worry is. If a developer doesn't want to talk to me, that's not going to hurt my feelings whatsoever. But if I see results from a conversation like that, we'll all be happy, 100%.
Of course, of course. Okay, so thank you everyone. Time is up. So thank everyone for being here today, and we look forward to the next meeting very soon.
Thank you, Raymond.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you for your support and bye bye.
Bye bye.
Later.
All right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I just feel like there was a lot of points there that got pushed that didn't need pushed. If there wasn't somebody leading that conversation right there, that wasn't going to be great at all. What I feel needs to be added to the game was brought up by somebody else a couple nights ago. We need to go and add either a committee, something of the sorts like that, and relay information, valid information. The next time I hear puzzles, literally someone will get throat kicked. I promise you. But our big thing. Why I wanted to stream this, and I'm gonna keep the VOD on this. I'm gonna keep this live. The video so everybody can see it. But we just want communication. There's a lot of points that got across there that I think were very good. But I mean, I don't want it to be cut off from anybody. I don't want anybody to feel like they're cut off. By all means, there's a lot of people that shouldn't have a say in a lot of things because of puzzles, traps, things like that don't matter. It don't matter. It just doesn't. items like server rewards, if I wouldn't have said it 6 times, what I mean, who would have said that? I mean, it was brought up early on and then passed, and then puzzles were talked about longer than server rewards were. You know what I mean? I just think that there's a lot of things that need to be realized. There's a lot of people who wanna go and run things, and I'm not one of them. I don't want to be running anything. That's not my goal for anything. But somebody needs to take control, and I think needs a committee, something of the sorts. I appreciate 27 people at the moment, I believe it says. Emmy, dude, you're a bro. I would. It's 10:30. I got to be at work at like 7:30. Otherwise, I would, dude. I appreciate you guys all stopping in. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to go and give my ID number here in the bottom. You add me, I'm going to add everybody back, everything like that. Give me 1 second. It's not going to let me, but I mean, it'd be a full-time job to do what those guys are doing. I do appreciate that conversation. I don't feel like we do give them enough credit for a lot of things. By all means, they got some things to fix. 111011620. Right there. They could. I don't. That's what I said. They probably did. You know what I mean? That's my ID. Copy it. Add me if you have any questions. If you ever want me to bring up anything, like I said, I'm not great by any means, but I try to get every point across that needs to be got. Because if things are left out and not pointed out, everything like that, I mean, they get left out and it's pointless. Meetings like that are pointless. I appreciate you guys all stopping in. 30 minutes past my bedtime. 10 more times. Got it. Thank you guys for the bits. Thank you guys for the follows. Emmy with the sub. I do appreciate you guys a bunch. I stream every Battlefield event, or at least try to. Wednesdays are a little bit tricky, but Saturdays, anything like that. I also stream from time to time randomly, some Warzone stuff, some anything like that. If you send me a mail, you have a question about anything, I'm going to try and answer it. I'm not a genius with mechanics. I'm not a genius at the game, but I'm here to answer questions. There's a lot of people that won't do that, and I try to do my best. So if you guys ever need to hit me up, you message me on Twitch. You can message me on the game. I spammed my code. I appreciate everybody coming out, everything like that, the subs, the bits, the everything like that. Thank you guys. I'm gonna always do them Zoom calls. I'm gonna always stream them just so everybody can see. That's not something that needs to be hidden by any means. I don't believe we need to have 100 people in there, but I believe it needs to be open to the public so everybody can hear it. So thank you guys for stopping in. You guys have a good night. Hit me up with anything. Talk to you guys later. Yeah, yeah. Send me all that stuff. Absolutely. Deuces.